Okay, let's get set up for Silver Ridge Peaks. I think we're still gonna need that. I'm gonna keep this set up for now. Make sure restock my ammo real quick. 22 for turkeys. I don't know if we need the 243 for this one. I don't remember. 30-06 we do. 300 we do. Okay. So I'm gonna set it for now. 22 for turkeys. 30-06 will be for the elk and stuff, and the bear. The 300 will be for the bison, which I can also use the 454 for. The 243, I can't remember. I think there are one that I need it for, but alright, let's go to this trailhead. Take this. Okay, almost to the trailhead. Right to the trailhead. Now pick up the flyer at the trailhead.
One down, one to go. Keep following the trail to the lake.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Lake.
Take a look at the water. If I hadn't told you, would you suspect that the lake was dangerous? We might not be able to monitor the lake 24/7, but at least now people have been warned. Thanks for taking care of that. It's such a strange feeling to be publicizing the very issue that is hurting us at the moment. I know it's the responsible thing to do, but it still feels slightly like self-sabotage. Our summer season has already started, and normally, this whole area would be covered with hikers. I've only seen a handful of people in the reserve recently. I'm sure that things will pick up eventually. But every day, I'm reminded that my dad was the major driving force behind this place. It's just bad timing, I suppose. We'd had some other issues with one of the board members, but that's in the past. The best thing to do is to keep pushing forward. I've got some big plans to help turn things around. Who knows? Maybe we'll have this place at full strength by the time my dad gets back in the saddle. I'm talking a lot about family stuff, aren't I? I suppose work and family are the same thing for me, you know? I've been watching my dad do this job since I was a kid. Let's change the subject, shall we? I've got a job that I'd like you to take care of. The big plans I mentioned before? One of these plans is a little passion project of mine. We're gonna need some gear. Rappelling gear, actually. I have stashed a few bags at one of the nearby outposts, and I'd like you to head over there and pick them up, when you can. I've been doing adventure sports for about 10 years or so now. It started with bouldering and rock climbing while I was on a high school trip. Last year, I got an accreditation as an instructor, and I was planning on teaching classes. When my dad got ill, I put it on the back burner. But now, I think we have a good opportunity to commit to it. Unfortunately, I'm a little too busy to teach classes just now. But one of my base jumping friends, Sammy, took the same course as me, so she's gonna lead the class instead.
Okay, let's go pick this up.
The gear is in here. I packed it into a couple of backpacks. It shouldn't be too heavy. You got everything? There's a good rock face nearby that Sammy can use to teach her beginners. If I recall correctly, you also have some mountain climbing experience. I get it. Those mountain goats aren't easy to catch. There's some good anchoring points at the top of the rock face. If you can get those ropes nice and secure, it'll save Sammy some time and help the class.
Okay, let's go up there then.
The pronghorn is the fastest land mammal in North America. They're not as sensitive to noise as some of the other animals in the reserve, but they trust their eyes, so stay down and hidden to prevent them from bolting.
Truth be told, I've wanted to start an extreme sports group here for a long time, but the old chairman of the board pushed back against anything that wasn't hunting. He was very old-fashioned, though. The patriarch of the Simpkins Electronics Empire. He even forced his vegan animal rights activist son, Timothy, to come with him on hunting trips to Africa. Accused the activist of brainwashing his son. The family reputation around here dropped quite dramatically when my dad caught Timothy drinking and dealing drugs inside the reserve. Simpkins actually used his power on the board to keep my dad quiet. But the next time my dad caught Tim in the reserve, he wasn't just dealing drugs. He had been poaching. Dad called it in without even telling Simpkins Sr. Of course, he was furious. Tried to get my dad fired, actually. But all credit to the board. They stuck with my old man. All these changes I want to make will hopefully account for the loss of the Simpkins' money and influence. This is just the start, too. I'm proposing snowboarding and extreme skiing for the winter. I've got some friends who I'd love to invite over to shoot some videos. Could be fun, don't you think? Anyway, if the rappelling goes well and makes a little money, I think the old folks on the board will start to come around. That looks great. I doubt I could have done a better job myself. Don't let the ropes down. We don't need them getting all tangled up. I really appreciate your help with this one. It's been an uphill battle to get to this point, and I'm disappointed that I can't be there to run the classes myself. If I'm being honest, I have a lot invested in the classes going well. There's still some people on the board who are friends with the old chairman, and it seems pretty clear that they don't like me proposing new ideas. Anyway, I'll let Sammy know that we're good to go. I trust her to take care of it.
Done.
Hey, so listen. There might be a situation going on at the moment, and I could really use your help to check it out. It's not just gold and silver mining that took place out here. Even more recently, there was a working uranium mine in the area. When the reserve was established, we took responsibility for keeping it safe. Anyway, the old uranium mine is very rarely a problem. But recently, it appears that one of our neighbors, a guy I went to school with actually, has been spotted camping out around the mine. His name's Bobby Joe Jefferson. He's normally just a nuisance, driving his quad bike around and setting up little shooting ranges with tin cans. He makes the deer and turkeys extra skittish, so the hunters hate him. Can you head over to the mine and see what's going on? He's allowed to hike and camp there, but I don't want him going anywhere near the entrance itself.
Okay, where's it at? Oh, it's a long way. Let's spawn here and go to it.
Okay, first things first. Let's make sure that the mine itself is still secure. A trail camera? I've used these for work and for hunting before. This one shouldn't be here, though. We don't want hunters so close to the mine. Grab the camera. Another trail camera. Bobby Joe doesn't have a permit to hunt here. Is he poaching? This looks intact, at least. That's gotta be a good sign. Hopefully that's the last one. Pick him up and I'll put him in our lost and found when I can take him from you. I don't really understand what's going on with the cameras, but at least the entrance is secure. Let's go find his camp, shall we? It was actually Remy that called this one in. He doesn't know who Bobby Joe is, but I knew who it was as soon as Remy described him. That looks like his camp. Any sign of him?
I don't see him.
Rifle cartridges. That's not good news. Binoculars? Maybe he was hunting. Some snacks? Not enough to last a long trip, though. I'm seeing a pretty worrying pattern here. Take a look in the tent. A journal? Maybe this'll show us why he's out here. That's our sign. Pick it up, would you? Secret uranium mining. Government conspiracy? I'll be honest. I never credited Bobby Joe with this much imagination in high school. Replant the sign, and we're done here for now. You know what makes this extra weird? He actually has done some detective work. Enough to convince himself to camp here. The sign's back up? Great. This mine has never been a problem before, but let's not take any chances. Me and my dad have been dealing with Bobby Joe for years, but this is new. I know he's a nuisance, but I always felt sorry for him. He had a pretty tough upbringing. I don't want to call the police, but I have to. He's armed and known for making poor choices.
Okay. Call law on him, man.
It would appear that it's not just the neighbors that are making questionable calls today. Sometimes folks from the city will drive out here to get away from work or their personal lives or whatever happens to be bothering them. The problem is that sometimes, quite often actually, people wander into the wilderness without a clue of how to survive if things go wrong. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. And based on a couple of phone calls I've had from the hospital today, I think that someone has made a mess and could use some help. I was going to check in on them myself, but I need to coordinate with the police on this Bobby Joe thing, and you're already really close by. Can you head over to the campgrounds nearby and check in on them? The phone calls were sporadic at best. As far as I can tell, this professional yoga and meditation expert has led a group of accountants from Denver into the wilderness on some sort of spiritual retreat. She took their cell phones away from them and had them eating wild flowers and berries. Some of them got sick and have gone directly to the hospital. I know that we're not the reason why this happened, but it could look very bad for us if anyone gets seriously hurt. I'd appreciate if you'd hustle and check it out.
Excellent. What about over here to check his out?
That's weird. I expected a lot more activity here. They said they were bringing 20 people. Where is everyone? Is the leader in her tent? She goes by Jem. Jem Bodden. Can you hear the phones ringing? I guess we know where she hid them then. The accountants have left. I'm going to send someone to make sure they got back to their cars safely. This is an absolute disaster. A bunch of poisoned accountants and a lone woman climbing a non-specific mountain. Next time someone tries to run a retreat out here, I'm gonna make them hire a professional guide. This is exactly the sort of thing I find myself fighting uphill against. It's hard to get going when stuff like this keeps... She's expecting the others to meet her at the top of a mountain? Which one? Okay, first things first. We need to figure out where Bodden's gone. I'll try to reach some of the accountants back at the hospital. Maybe they can help. I get the distinct feeling that she hasn't packed hiking boots or proper equipment for a climb. Maybe she'll turn back soon. I'll let you know if I hear anything, okay?
That one's done.
Today continues to throw up challenges for us. I have another job for you, and this one is urgent. We received a call from one of our neighbors, Norman, asking if we'd seen his dad, a longtime friend of the reserve. Apparently he's gone missing and he's taken all the family camping supplies with him. Around the same time, 2 hikers reported to us that they spotted a single old man laden down with gear, heading into a part of the reserve that is known for its bears. When they asked him if he needed any help, he politely declined and kept walking. Their description matches old Ted perfectly. Short white hair, green rain slicker, and brown leather boots. No gun. I'm trying to get a hold of Norman, but he said that he'd make some more calls just in case Teddy's gone to visit friends. I'm just getting his voicemail at the moment. While I sort this out, can you head over to where the hikers saw him and try to follow old Teddy's trail? He knows his way around here, so I have no idea why he'd wander into bear country.
Go. Okay, that's a little ways off, so... Okay, we'll spawn down here and make it quicker. Pick up this guy's trail and see where he went. Just need some.
That's the place. You found where the hikers spotted him. That's good news. Listen, I got a hold of Norman and he's on his way out here. But he's a couple of hours drive away. I told him that we were looking for his dad. Norman's really worried. He thinks that Ted has had a breakdown. Ted's wife, Jeannie, died a couple of weeks ago, and since the funeral, Ted hasn't been himself. The family were giving him as much space as they could, but now they're worried that he's fully isolated himself and he's made some bad decisions that have led him here. Norman took a trip to visit him, but when he arrived, Ted was gone and so was his car. Norman remembers his dad saying that he proposed to Jeannie during a trip to Silver Ridge Peaks 45 years ago. That whole region is a beautiful valley, but nobody goes out there unarmed while the bears are roaming around. It might be a long shot, but can you gear up with whatever you need and head into bear country as soon as possible? If Ted's looking for where he proposed almost a half a century ago, I just hope he finds it before the bears find him. I'll mark the beauty spot on your GPS. Be careful in those parts. Keep your rifle handy at all times. You think Ted's shedding weight? The man is in his 70s. This must be a tough trek for him. This place has been torn apart. There's no blood, no body. He's left his pack here, though. He must be traveling light, but we can't wait for him to come back to camp. The bear could still be around. This is the beauty spot. But he's gone. There's no sign of an encounter. But look, Ted was definitely here.
A bull elk with a big rack is a sight to behold, and the Rocky Mountain elk has the largest antlers of any species in the elk family. I think I've even seen a couple of 7-pointers out here before.
Ted and Jeannie, 1978. I can't even imagine what's going through his head at the moment. My dad and I used to talk about men who would seek their solace in nature. He told me that if he didn't have my mom or me around, he'd eventually have just started living out here. I didn't believe him at first, but as I've grown older, it makes more sense to me. He's running from the pain he's feeling. Out there, he doesn't need to think about anyone or anything else. He can just be alone. Norman will be here soon. I told him that his visit will include a trip to bear country, so he's got a rifle to protect himself. I'll point him to his dad's old camp for now. It makes most sense for that to be where Ted will come back to whenever he's ready. There's no tracks for you to follow, and while I don't like the idea of him wandering around, Ted clearly wants to be alone out here.
Okay, another one bites the dust. Give me my next mission, yeah.
I might have a lead on our missing yoga instructor. Sammy was driving home after the rappelling lesson, and she heard something that could be Miss Bodden. She had pulled over to look under the hood of her car, and she swears she heard a scream from the woods nearby. And I asked her if it could have been an animal noise, but she seemed pretty insistent that it was a woman's scream. I know it's nothing solid to go on, but it could be what leads us to her. Can you check it out? I'll mark the spot on your GPS.
Way up there. Okay, I'll go to it.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, this is bear country. Sure, they're normally quick to turn tail and run, but they're extremely aggressive if their cubs are nearby. It's time for maximum caution.
Afraid of no bear. Especially not.
Can you hear that? It's like a horn or something. There, on the ground. An air horn app? I've heard of people trying to scare away bears and cougars with real-life air horns. Personally, I've never really trusted using sound to scare off a bear. Not permanently, at least. Well, that's the contact number I had for her. Cell phone service can be really poor out there, though. Still, she was here. Check out the bear markings on that tree. There's no sign of her, is there? If she tried to hide from a bear up a tree, she found out pretty fast bears are great climbers. Maybe she threw the water bottle in her phone to give herself a chance to escape. Are there any more clues? A bear. Be careful. Those look like fresh footprints. She made it out of there, heading west. Still, now she has no phone and no water bottle. Let me look at the map and I'll come up with a game plan. Okay, got it. Not far from where you are, we have the old funicular railway. It's pretty big, and it's a tourist attraction. If Baden sees it, then maybe she'll head towards it to look for help. At the bottom of the track, there's an old shed that she could try to shelter close to. It's not much, but it's a start. Given how badly things have gone for her so far, I can only hope that she's not still planning to climb a mountain. I'm going to give the accountants another call at the hospital. See if they can't help us work out where her head is at.
Fast travel here to be quicker.
What the hell has happened here? It looks like the bears have been using the shed as a latrine and a scratching post. I'm meant to be taking a potential investor to tour the reserve this week. She cannot see this. Boden's not here. There's no sign of her. And I still can't get through to the accountants. They've left the hospital and don't have their cell phones. Can you put the shed back together and tidy things up a bit? I hate to do this, but there's no way I'm gonna make it out there before the tour. It might be from a bear, but why would they come here? I don't see bears tearing that off. Thanks. It's probably still gonna smell pretty bad, but at least it's not covered in bear scat. Bears tend to stay away from humans, and we never kept anything that would attract them inside that shed. Are there any tracks nearby? The place looked fine when I was here last week. That's unexpected. The public don't tend to drive to the funicular, and if it was one of the staff, they'd use quad bikes. This looks like it was left by a car or a truck. I think someone has vandalized our property. It doesn't make a lot of sense, though. Why would anyone come all the way out here to do this? Maybe bored teenagers? I pulled some stupid pranks when I was young, but none involved ferrying around a bunch of bear scat. Given that this has happened to the shed, I'm a little worried about the railway itself. It's a unique tourist site, over 100 years old. It leads all the way up to Prosperity, the reserve's ghost town. It used to be home to the miners who came out here during the Silver Rush. I think it's a little creepy, but tourists like it. Would you check the track out, please? I would feel a lot better knowing it's okay.
See nothing wrong with this track so far.
What? What's going on with the rail? Torn up? As in removed? How did they even... It's just been ripped out of the ground. Gone. This would have taken a crew and equipment. This isn't teenagers with too much time on their hands. This is the sabotage of one of our irreplaceable attractions. I need some pictures. I'm gonna send them to the police. I'm on hold with the sheriff's office. Then I think I need to call my dad. Since it appears that someone is trying to sabotage the reserve, I need you... Hello? Yes, Sheriff Cole, please. I need you to head up to the ghost town and see if they've done any damage there. I'll check in later. Jerry, hey, thanks for picking up so fast.